Hi, Kim Rayner here from All About Spirits Life After Cancer, and I want to welcome you to episode 49 of Life After Cancer, which is called How Cancer Made Me Vulnerable. And when you get a cancer diagnosis, it impacts every aspect of your life. It affects your social life, your spiritual life, your work life, your sex life, relationships, your relationship to your own body. And I created this show, which happens on a weekly basis on Monday mornings at 10 o'clock Central Time, to help people navigate through. Hi, Mike. Thanks for joining today. To help people navigate through what I couldn't figure out how to navigate through on my own. My intention with the show is to give you tools and ideas and things just to help make your process earlier, or your process easier as you walk through life after cancer. So today's episode, right, how cancer made me vulnerable. If you talked to people who have known me for a really long time, they would have described me as things like a take charge kind of person, somebody who is direct and straightforward and kind of no nonsense and responsible. And sometimes they would describe me as self-sufficient, and the not so attractive ones would be controlling and intense. Rarely would anybody have described me as compassionate, and certainly not vulnerable. And cancer really did teach me how to be compassionate and vulnerable, and that's what today's story is all, or today's show is all about. And the backstory of this really is when I first suspected, or the doctors first suspected, that I might have cancer, it took me 3 days to let anybody know that there was even something that was perhaps on the horizon. And that was actually an acquaintance that I shared the information with. And it took me another 3 days to let the people in my family know that there was something going on. And that, I look back at that now and think, wow, how unfortunate for my family, and how unfortunate for me too. And that's the way that I chose, to live my life. And the truth is, I was really ashamed of the fact that they thought that I had cancer. I was embarrassed by that. And I don't know, for sure what that was all about. But if there was a way that I could have figured out how to not tell anybody about it until after it was over with, that really is what I probably would have done. And I'm not necessarily proud of that today, but it is the truth of what I would have done. And I think it's not because I felt like I wanted to keep, I'm out in the mosquito capital of the world again today. It's not because I felt like I wanted to do this on my own, or that I was so much above other people's help or anything like that, but I was embarrassed, and I really felt unworthy of having people help me with things. And that was kind of the underpinning of how I walked through the process. And I didn't feel like I was worthy of asking people for support. I had walked through most of my life feeling like I was only worthwhile if I was helping you. And that really played through in my whole cancer journey. So obviously, if I needed help, I wasn't helping you. So it would be best if I were just able to hide and lie low. And, living through cancer, you don't get to do that without help from other people. You don't get to do that on your own and completely unscathed. And I know that today. And, I needed to find courage, and I needed to find compassion, and I needed to find authenticity, which are all ways of saying I needed to somehow figure out a way to be vulnerable. I hope that maybe my mosquito bug slathering would have helped me with this, but apparently not. So you get to watch me wiggle and brush away mosquitoes. Sorry about that. So the taking courage part, the first part of that, what did having courage look like for me? Well, it really started by learning how to tell people the truth. And when I talk about that, I talk about it in the context of telling people how I felt about what was going on for me, and what I was thinking, and how I was feeling, and telling people what was really going on in my daily life. And that, I was used to listening to other people tell me what was going on in their life, but I wasn't so used to sharing that kind of information with other people. So finding courage to be honest and real about what was going on with me was big. Another thing that I really needed to do was find a way to have some compassion for myself, and that really was not anything that was on my radar. I was a hard driving kind of person. I was a get her done kind of thing, and I wasn't very compassionate. I was kind of brutal in the way that I expected myself to be able to work and the way I expected myself to be able to show up in life. And that wasn't very helpful in the cancer process. So I needed to find ways to stop blaming myself for not feeling well or not being able to do the things that I used to be able to do, or be able to do the things that I wanted. Whoops, slipping phone here. Sorry about that. Not being able to do things the way I wanted to do them. I had to stop blaming myself for that kind of stuff. I also had to stop trying to do things that I couldn't do, that I really honestly wasn't able to do, either because I was physically exhausted, I was emotionally exhausted. I needed to really get to the place that I could accept the fact and be gentle with myself with the fact that, man, I'm not operating on all 8 cylinders. I'm not operating at 100%. I can't do all of this. And I needed to find some gentleness for myself in that process. And then, I needed to find some authenticity, and you might recognize some of the things that I'm talking about if you've ever heard the work of Brené Brown. She talks about authenticity and about shame and all of this kind of stuff, and it really is poignant in the cancer journey. So being authentic meant I had to let go of the idea of being who I thought I should be. That I needed to be in control. I needed to be the person that you came to for help, not the person who needed help. I needed to start letting go of life and what I thought it should be, and find a way to really start living life and being who I really was, to really start owning the fact that, wow, I'm having surgery and I'm going through chemo and my hair has fallen out and I don't feel good and I'm tired and all the things that go along with that stuff. So I needed to allow myself the opportunity to really be who I am, and to just walk through life that way. And all of that stuff led to my finding ways to really be vulnerable. And vulnerability meant not taking action when I couldn't take action. And it meant taking action when I was able to take action. And it meant, breathing through pain and breathing through crisis. And it meant, not quitting. It meant dealing with the physical pain and sometimes needing to ask for help and saying I can't do my housework and I can't do the laundry and I have financial problems that are going on and I don't know how to navigate through this and I don't know what to do with all of that. So there were so many ways that I had to find to actually become vulnerable. And I was really pushing against a lifelong habit of not being vulnerable, really pushing against a lifelong habit of saying, I got this, I'm good, I don't need your help, I can take care of it myself. And I know today that whole idea of not being vulnerable and pushing against that stuff, it really has to do with numbing out and pretending that things aren't the way they are. And we have lots and lots of ways that we numb out in our lives. We do it through food, and we do it through alcohol and drugs and sex and TV and video games and all sorts of stuff. Finding ways to not have to feel the things we have to feel, or we don't want to feel. And the problem with that is that we not only numb out the bad stuff, we not only numb out the things that we're trying to push away, but we also numb out the good stuff. It prevents us really from connecting with other people. It connects us from being in relationship with other people. It stops us from connecting to ourselves. So how it stops us from being happy and to have joy in our life. So how do we change that? How do I shift from that? What do I do? Give me some action items. Give me some steps I can take to make that different. So the first thing is, for me, was to really find ways to stop trying to manage everything that was going on. I couldn't manage it, so I needed to stop trying. I needed to stop trying to take things that were uncertain and turning them into something certain. I needed to stop awfulizing things and automatically, I've talked about this in other shows too. Stop jumping to conclusions. Stop going to the worst case scenario. I needed to stop doing that, to stop trying to manage things, and just to allow things to be how they are. To just allow them to be what they are, and to know that in this moment, I'm still breathing, I'm still alive, I'm still okay, and right now, I can be in that space. And then I also needed to stop expecting perfection. I needed to stop expecting my house to be as clean as my house usually was. I needed to stop thinking that I was going to be able to perform at school or at work at the same capacity that I had been able to perform at school and work prior to that. I needed to stop expecting myself to be able to function and to do things the same way that I had always been able to function and do them, because it just wasn't going to happen. I couldn't do it. So I needed to drop the idea. I needed to also drop the idea that I was the only one that could do things, that nobody could clean the house as good as I could. Nobody could do the stuff at work as well as I could. Nobody could do the report as well as I could. I needed to drop that kind of stuff. And then I needed to also stop pretending that what was going on with me was no big deal and that it really didn't matter. Because the truth is, it was a big deal and it did matter. And by my pretending that it didn't matter, it made it unsafe for the people around me to approach me and to talk about what was really going on in their lives as well and how it was impacting them. So I needed to stop pretending. I needed to stop pretending that I could do it by myself and that I didn't need anybody else. And then the process of doing all of that started me being more authentic. It started me admitting, okay, I really do need help, and it opened the doorway for me to start asking for help. It also opened the doorway for people to come in and start offering help and to do things with me and for me. And that was a great benefit in the process of my cancer journey. It opened the door. I mean, when I started talking about what it was like to lose my life savings and the potential that I was going to lose my home, that I wasn't going to be able to stay living where I was living, that opened the door for other people to come in and help. It opened the door for resources that I didn't know existed. It opened the door for my doctor's office to send in an application for some drug assistance because my chemo was so expensive and my insurance company wasn't covering it, and the only way I was going to be able to finish it was if I got some help with that. So it opened the door for all sorts of things that I hadn't anticipated. And I had people that would come in and they would clean my house, and because I had this huge wound in my belly and I couldn't walk. I had a weight restriction of 3 pounds. I couldn't clean. I couldn't do anything. Having somebody come in and clean your house is about as vulnerable as it gets. They look in your closets, they're looking under your sofa, and allowing people the space to do that while you just sit by and watch is a humbling experience. And I'm so grateful to the people that came and did that for me. People came and cooked me food. They did my laundry. I had a group of women who came and they decided that because I was going to spend so much time in my bedroom, they thought I should have a beautiful bedroom, so they came and they painted it. And I had somebody who was familiar with energy work. They came and they feng shuied my house so I would have healing energy that was traveling through it. There were so many gifts that came out of my learning how to become vulnerable. I learned how to open up to people, and other people learned how to open up to me. And I have relationships with people in a way that I never dreamed I would be able to relate to people. So I'm really grateful for that. I think that the biggest thing that I got out of all of that was to find some compassion for myself and to find some compassion for other people. I have, because of the whole cancer journey process, I've become a go-to resource for a lot of people when they have, holy cow, this is going on in my life and I don't know what to do with it. You know, I've become a resource for people for that. And I have people who I don't know that reach out to me and call me and say, wow, this is going on in my life, and I heard that you've had some kind of an experience like that. Would you be able to just spend some time talking to me about it? And I'm grateful to be able to do that. It's a way that Spirit has taken these mosquitoes. It's a way that Spirit has taken my experience and found a way to make it something beneficial for other people. And I am so, so grateful for that. So one of the other things that I know is that we are social beings. We are designed and built to connect with each other. And if I have experienced something that someone else is going through, one of the greatest gifts that I can give them is some time and energy and space to share my experience. Because we never know. We never know the role that we have or the benefit that we can be if we don't find a way to let people in. And connecting with people is one of our greatest human desires. So how all of this vulnerability stuff has changed for me, it really has made me a different person. People often refer to me as compassionate today, and they often refer to me as vulnerable and courageous and tell me, you have so much courage the way that you walk through things. And I think that it's truly because today I'm willing to let you see what's going on for me in my life. I'm willing to let you see that part. I'm willing to be vulnerable with you. So my hope is today that you found something useful in our show, and that if you did, that you'll share it with other people, that you'll like it on Facebook, and that you will tell other people about the show so they can join. If you have any questions or you have a topic that you'd like me to talk about, please feel free to post it in the notes below the post. And another reminder about my 1,000 Cancer Survivor stories. I appreciate all the stories that I've gotten so far, and I love reading them. I love connecting with you about them. So if you have a story that you'd like to share, whether you are the person who had cancer or you were supporting someone who's had cancer, whether they survived or they are people who have left the planet, I would love to hear your stories and include them in 1,000 Cancer Survivors stories, so reach out to me. And again, if you found something helpful in today's episode, I hope you'll share it, like it, so other people can see it. And until we actually have a chance to connect again, I hope that life treats you well. Thanks for being here today, and make it a great week.